Hello everybody. Today we're going to be looking at 11 quick and effective techniques to regulate a dysregulated nervous system. What that means is that survival stress is coming up in your body. You've been triggered in some way, and the emotions and nervous system energy that's coming up, it could be anger or sadness, or it could be fight, flight, freeze, is a little bit too much for your nervous system to handle. Everyone has a certain capacity of experience that we can tolerate. And if something happens that takes us outside beyond that window of tolerance, we start to get dysregulated, and the body kicks in to try and manage that excessive amount of energy. So typically, there's two ways that happens. Either you can be sort of hyperactivated, hyper-aroused, like when you're very, very anxious or really, really stressed, overwhelmed. That's when there's huge amounts of energy coming up in the body, but the body is also tensing to hold it in, right? It's got that kind of coming up. There's stuff coming up, but there's a break or a lid on it. And that sort of conflict between those two places is that dysregulation. The other way it can tend to happen is almost the opposite direction, where the body kind of collapses or gives up, goes into more of a dorsal vagal state, which is that end of the nervous system, like I said, that sort of gives up. This is when you start feeling more depressed or lethargic. That's also kind of a state of dysregulation, because we've been pushed beyond our limit, and the body is almost like withdrawing from activity as a way to cope. And you're not doing anything wrong when this is happening. This is simply your body is trying to keep you safe, because what you're experiencing is just a bit too much. So in these different states, if you're hyper aroused, some of these techniques will be more appropriate than others. Typically ones that ground you and bring the energy down a little bit. Whereas when you're in that more hypo aroused, they call it HYPO, or more of a kind of that resignation collapsed place, you want something that just lifts you up slightly, maybe a little bit of movement or a little bit of warmth that you want to bring in. And, you just feel into which of these techniques feels appropriate for you. How you want to do this is or how you want to use these is just, you don't need to learn 11 techniques. That's obviously silly. Just pick one or two or three that kind of resonate with you and try them out. And then you can even combo them, and I'll give you some suggestions for how we do that as we go along. Let's jump in. So let's start in with a simple grounding technique. This is, you'll just be feeling your feet on the floor. So you notice that you're a bit dysregulated, and typically your attention's just going to be in your mind and the spinning thoughts. And by bringing your attention to your feet on the floor, you're bringing it to a part of your experience that feels more solid, more grounded. And so here you just want to notice the sensations. Maybe you notice a bit of pressure. Maybe it feels warm, it feels cool. Try and notice the qualities of the sensations you feel. Maybe a bit of tingling. Maybe there's a slight sense of being connected to the earth that you can feel. A little trick, if your mind keeps pulling you away, you can trace the outline of your feet, first one, then the other, with your attention, just noticing the sensations at each point. By giving your mind something to do in that way, it makes it a little bit easier to stay present with it. You want to stay with it for a few minutes. Give yourself time to really feel into that space. And then just notice how it feels to be there, what the impact is of being with that part of your experience that feels a bit calmer. You can also use other aspects of your experience that feel more grounding. Maybe it's the chair at your back, or maybe it's the space around your body. These things also, could work. Whatever just feels fairly solid and grounding. Second technique is a body scan, but I want to give you a bit of a framework that helps you, know where to focus your attention. This is BASE. I got this from the book Secret Language of the Body. BASE stands for breath, activation, sensation, emotion. And you take your attention to those parts of your experience in that order. By just simply bringing your attention and noticing what's happening, there's a kind of acceptance, or going more in the direction of acceptance that happens, that helps the body to regulate itself. Part of why we get dysregulated is because we're resisting what's happening. We're panicking about the fact that we're dysregulated, which sends us into a bit of a spiral. So coming back to the body almost regrounds us, helps us to be present with that, then it can start to settle. So with BASE, you want to first pay attention to your breath. Again, noticing the qualities. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it deep? Is it shallow? And you can pay attention to the nostrils or the chest or the belly. And then again, just spend a few moments there, half a minute, being with the breath. Then, and I'm moving through this quite quickly, just so that you can get an idea of it. I don't need to show you each technique in its entirety, but spend a good few minutes with each part of these techniques. It's really giving yourself some time that's the most important here. Then take yourself to activation. What the activation is any part of you that's pushing or pulling, trying to make something happen or avoid something. This could be like a part of you is, wants to hide. A part of you wants to go have a nap. A part of you wants to check your phone. There's this impulses pulling us in different directions. There's some hunger. We want to go have a snack. We want to go eat loads of chocolate. We want to resist our experience. There's something pulling us away from our experience of the body. We want to put our attention on any of that push or pull that we notice in ourselves. Not trying to stop it from happening, but not indulging in it either. We just watch it happen. Watch it attempt, almost like you're watching a hamster in a wheel. You let it do its thing, but you don't let it go anywhere. Right? Poor hamster. So you're just, okay, I want to go, say it's like, I want to go check my phone. You just watch that impulse as it sort of throbs or tightens or however, you just get curious about how it's showing up. Then after you spent a minute or two with that, you go to sensation. This is where you start paying attention to physical sensations. This could be anything like just the simple, the feeling of the air on your skin or your butt on the chair. Or it could be some little tensions you feel somewhere. Maybe there's a bit of an ache somewhere. It could be absolutely anything that's a physical sensation. And just seeing where your attention is drawn and just getting curious about that physical sensation, just exploring it again for a minute or two. Noticing the qualities. Is it big? Is it small? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Has it got a shape? Is it more sort of cloudy and foggy? And if it's difficult to discern, just get whatever you can. Even if there's a vague sense of, warmth in the chest. That's great. It doesn't have to be something really, really specific. Just do your best you can to get a sense of some kind of sensation. Then the last one is E, is emotion. So just noticing if there's any emotion in your experience, maybe a bit of frustration, a bit of sadness, whatever it might be. In the same way, just exploring it, getting curious about the qualities. And you'll find that if you go through 5-10 minutes of this, that actually your experience has changed significantly. More than you'd think. It's just taking that time, really. The third technique is self-touch, which is not, now that I say it that way, could be interpreted in many ways. And that might help you out too, hey. What I'm talking about here specifically, though, is bringing your hands to your body to support it. So you can bring one hand to the heart and one to the belly is a really nice one. Again, just noticing the qualities, noticing the pressure, the warmth, maybe bringing a slight sense of holding to yourself, kind of like you would be there for a good friend. Imagine a good friend was really dysregulated and you might just give him a hug and just kind of, and sending them that sense, hey, I'm here for you. It's like you want to bring that to yourself. Or you can give yourself a hug. That feels quite nice. Stroking or patting the legs. Whatever you're doing, you just pay attention to the sensations in the body. Just using it as a way to stay really present with your experience. And again, to stay here a few minutes, just holding the hands on the heart or just rubbing the legs, and maybe a sigh comes. The fourth technique, which is related, is havening. This is a particular technique that involves crossing your arms and slowly, purposefully stroking down from the top to the bottom. Then you lift up the arms again, go back to the top. You don't stroke up again. You just go from back to the top. Just going slowly. And just paying attention to those sensations. If you're really feeling dysregulated, you can also at the same time give your mind something to do. So it can be useful to count backwards from 50, say, as you're kind of got one foot in the body, one foot in the mind. So you're kind of noticing how it feels. And it's 50, 49, 48, 47, or do the alphabet backwards. Z, Y, X. That one's a tough one. It's just giving the mind something to do to stop it from going into the, wafting off into thoughts, which helps. Anything that helps you stay more present in a positive, supportive way is going to help you. You can also breathe out with the havening. So that one's a really effective one. I like that one a lot. I use that with clients quite a lot. The fifth technique is a breathing technique. They call it 4-8 breathing. This is when you breathe in for 4 through the nose and you breathe out for 8 through the mouth. It doesn't have to be exactly 8, but the idea is that the out breath is longer than the in breath. This is what slows things down. So this is a good one for that hyper arousal. So just in for 4, out for 8. In, out. And you can combine this with any of the others, really. Just give yourself a hug whilst doing it, doing that breath, or any of the others that even come later. So I'll go into the next technique, and you can see how the breathing works with this. This is swaying or rocking. So these kinds of gentle, soft micro movements just kind of signal to your nervous system that you're safe. This can be a good one for coming out of hypoarousal, so that more collapsed, giving up state, or frozen state. Because it's just a bit of softness and warmth to make everything a little bit more supple. So again, maybe you've got one hand on the heart, one on the belly. Just swaying. Don't do it. Some people kind of go like this. This is generating more stress. It wants to be effortless almost, like just a gentle wave. And if that's not possible, then maybe this isn't the technique for you. Rocking back and forth is also the same kind of idea. And you just want to stay with that. Give that a bit of time to work. Give it a few minutes. And you'll notice after maybe not straight away, but after a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, you'll notice that you just start to slowly feel different. Things start to settle. Another good one. This is good for, actually it's good in both ways for both ends of the spectrum of activation. It's shaking. So I don't have space to do it here with the camera, but you want to stand up and just kind of bounce on your knees. So imagine I'm kind of bouncing on my knees and I'm going to hold my hands at a weird angle so you can see, but just with your hands by your side, just shaking out the body. So it's this bouncing on the knees and the shaking through of the hands. And that helps some of the energy to move. It helps bring a little bit of aliveness. So if you're quite hyper aroused, it can shake out a little bit of the energy. If you're hypo aroused, in more of that collapse, it can help to bring a little bit of energy. So it's a very useful one, that one. Again, give it a minute or two of that, just to let it work a little bit. And then it's helpful to compare how you feel before and after. So just noticing how you feel before, shaking out for a couple of minutes, then noticing how you're feeling again. The next technique is humming. So humming kind of vibrates through your system. It can activate the vagus nerve as well, which is that sort of that nerve that signals to your nervous system that you're safe, you're relaxed, you're okay. And just hum your favorite tune. Again, you could combine this with a bit of swaying and touch. And just feeling the vibration. You want to keep your attention with the vibration of that humming that you feel. That's what's kind of doing the magic. So that's a good one. The next technique is the VU technique by Peter Levine, a famous trauma therapist. This helps you come into more of a parasympathetic state, which is that kind of just a bit more calm things down. The key is to say the word VU and to almost feel it vibrate through your body, down into your belly, into your gut. So you sort of elongate it. So it's like this. You breathe in through the nose and then give a good long VU. VU. Really feeling it vibrate in your belly. Breathing in, back to the top. Again, if you give that, go for 5 or 10 rounds of that by the end, if you're going slowly, staying present with that vibration, surprisingly powerful. The next technique is lateral eye movements. So eye movements can activate the vagus nerve. And what you want to do here is sit down with your back straight-ish, just sort of upright. You can interlace your fingers behind your head. And what you want to do is just look to the right whilst keeping your head forwards. And you don't need to strain, you don't want your eyeballs to, strain an eye muscle. And just look to hold it there for about 30 seconds. And at some point you might feel a slight little shift, maybe a little yawn or a sigh comes, or just some part of you you feel a little twinge of something shifting or relaxing slightly. I notice maybe a little sigh, and that's the vagus nerve just starting to come online. So let's say that was 30 seconds. I think that was probably sooner, but then you just want to come back to the center. Just take a moment back in the center, and then do the same over to the left side. Keeping the face forwards. Again, not straining your eyes. And just waiting for a little sigh. And then you come back to the center. And you can maybe repeat it one more time if you want. And those lateral eye movements help, like I said, activate the vagus nerve. The last one, which is a bit more of a mental technique, but can be helpful too, is to take yourself to your favorite place in nature. So you might want to close the eyes and imagine a really beautiful place. So I'm imagining these cliffs by Folkestone, where I used to live for a little while. And you want to go through each of the 5 senses as to what you're experiencing there. So I might describe to myself what I'm seeing first. So I see the cliffs, I see the colors, I see the shapes, I see the trees and the grass and the plants. I see the sea, the blue sea and the white cliffs. Then I might go to my hearing, sound. I hear the sound of the waves and I hear the sound of the seagulls. Again, I'm going through a little faster here for the sake of this video, but really take your time, give it 30 seconds, a minute on each sense, just to really sit into it, to bed into that sense, and just notice how it feels, like the beauty of the chalk cliffs, the soothing energy of the sound of the waves. Then you might go to touch. I might imagine, I can feel that cold, cool, reassuring wind on my skin. It feels nice, feels refreshing. Then I might go to taste. Maybe I can kind of taste the sea air a little bit, or I can taste the coffee that I would like to be drinking. And then going to smell. Maybe I can smell the freshness of the sea air, the salt. And by going through each sense, it gives your mind something specific to focus on. Because just going, imagine your favorite place in nature is a bit too broad. The mind starts to wander. So going through each of those, spending, half a minute, or as long as you want on those. So like I said, you can combine these in different ways. You could do the breathing and the touch and the swaying. Or you could do havening and imagining your favorite place in nature. Be creative, and good luck. I have plenty more other videos that go into lots of similar techniques, and also not just regulating your nervous system is almost like putting everything back in the box. These emotions and energies are coming up, we're putting them back in the box. But in the long term, if you want to heal, we need to learn to process these emotions and energies. And that's really what I help people to do as well. Regulation is a useful skill to have, but processing and healing is also useful. So I've got a video called What It Actually Means to Feel Your Feelings. There's another video called something like Why Regulation Isn't Enough. And I have videos on how to feel your feelings. I also work with people one-on-one, helping them to do this stuff, learn regulation skills and process emotions and healing skills. So check out my details below. Good luck. See you later.